I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Manistee Area Public Schools Board of Education regular meeting is called to order at 7 p.m. Do I have any additions or questions about the agenda? If not, then can I have a motion to accept the agenda? Motion by Nick, seconded by Jim. All those in favor, say yes. Yes. All those opposed, say no. Celebration of MAP success.
Well, we had our first annual retiree celebration tonight. I don't, Nancy, do you know off the top?
32.
32 retirees showed up. It was some I knew, some I didn't, some I got to know. It was great. We plan on doing that every year, and I just think it's good. Yeah, it was nice. It was nice, and seemed to be appreciated. So, really good thing tonight. The other thing, we've talked about Launch Manistee and Michigan College Access Network, and we talked a little bit about College Application Week. I think well, that was I think last week or the week before. We had 100% of our seniors either apply for college, apply for military, trade school, something along that line. And it's important to note that Launch Manistee, the College Access Network, is not about just about college. It's about post-secondary options, which could be military, trade school, or a 2 or 4 year college. So resounding success in my mind that we got kids thinking about that, and we put an initiative in that had that much success. So appreciate the staff, because I know a lot of kids just do it, some you have to work a little harder at, and our staff work diligent in it. So very nice thing.
And then the only other thing to add under that is that Tom, Nick, John, and myself, we were at the MASD Leadership Conference on Friday. We spent a full day there. We reviewed things such as ways to become leaders, issues that are affecting the schools, changes in demographics that are coming up and that are going to impact the schools. We're going to be having more courses by MASD in January and February for the board, so we can all help and partake.
Paul, I'd
Yes,
like
sir.
to just say something at the conference was that as I went to these classes, I found that we're doing mostly everything that they suggest we do, or that they, we're way ahead of the ball game on a lot of board issues and the way we handle our meetings and our committees. And it was actually, wow, we already do that. Well, we do that already, and a lot of schools aren't doing that. So we're doing well as a board and being organized.
Just like anything else, when you get out there and you see other communities and what they're doing, that's when you finally get to compare. Are we on par? Are we doing okay? And I think we're doing great. And again, it's something for us to be proud of. So thank you for all the work you do. Public communications. This portion of the agenda is for persons to address the board. Public communication and comment is limited to 3 minutes per individual. This comment period is only for those items that appear on the agenda itself. A second comment period is scheduled at the end of the meeting for any other items. If you want to address the board, we have a public comment form for you to fill out. Do you have anything?
Not for this one.
Okay, thank you. Going ahead to our student representatives.
Hi. Last Wednesday, we had our second SSCC meeting. 12 students attended. We learned about the Pride Factor and what entails the Pride Factor, which is the culture of our school, motivation that the parent and the teachers have on the students, the performance of the students, and the recognition of the students and what they have done. Under performance, we discussed a little bit about school security, and we were a little bit concerned about the location of the front office, because if someone walks by it, or it could be a while before someone notices that there's a person in the school that doesn't belong. If feel that it's an issue because the past few years there has been more shootings or more incidences where there was lack of security, where something could have happened, could have been stopped. We feel like it's more, we pay more attention to it because we're in high school and we have current events and that kind of stuff. But I don't think elementary kids like actually realize, the potentials of that. I've talked to a few students from other schools to see like what kind of security policies they have. And Weddington has an officer every once in a while. They have visitor passes. All but the main doors are locked. But Mona Shores in Muskegon, they have locked doors and a paging video system so that you can see who's getting in doors. I don't know, just ideas, but we feel like security would be something really.
Any questions?
We have a group that is looking at security.
You know, a couple years ago, we had, I think we had just about every jurisdiction. We had county, state, city, tribal.
The prison.
The prison, yeah. We had 5 jurisdictions here, and we walked through our buildings, and they gave us, based on our current facilities and our layouts, they gave us protocol to follow, and we follow that and we drill on that. But we're limited based on our facilities and what we can do right now. And there are many things we could do, and we've talked about that. Even some of our last bond proposal was very heavy into improving safety and security. But they all require facilities changes of one degree or another. So they bring up a great point, and it's very perceptive of them to have recognized that. And I talked to them about that on Monday because it surprised me, frankly, kids are thinking about it. We didn't think about that when we went to school. We think about it now as adults because it's our responsibility, but I'm saddened that kids have to think about it, but I'm also impressed that this group of students are thinking about it.
Thank you very much. One of the major issues with building design is that if your building's breached, there can be access to a third of your student population very quickly through that front. I think there have been recommendations in terms of altering the front or at least barriers to that front. That is, a lot of schools have changed that alcove area where you have to, all traffic goes right into campus. But it's become a problem.
If you look at Jefferson, that's the one area, that's the one building that just by the design in the 50s happened to be, we've got one entry now, you have to go in right in front of the office, there's visibility all around, the other doors are locked. And, but other than that, our facilities, just the layout, that wasn't taken into consideration in the time periods that those things happened.
With that, again, we've had that discussion regarding long-range planning and facility planning. There, probably, that's nice.
Yep.
Should probably know those two things. Again, so that protocol was set up 5 years ago?
No, 2
years ago. Because there's been a lot of rethinking on some of your current practices.
yeah.
That might be good to revisit sometime.
They do that drilling too, that they do on weekends
Oh,
for different scenarios.
the law enforcement themselves?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, the law enforcement also control.
If you can take a look at that again, talk to law enforcement, see when they're planning their next drill and assessment.
We actually have
You had,
an active shooter training coming up.
I was going to say, do we have active shooter?
Yeah, we have actually have the training coming up. Chris, can you help me out? Do you remember when the active shooter training is? What month?
I'm not sure. They, the Ken Fall got the Homeland grant, so he's got Tom Meinsberg on hand right now. So if we can find a date for him, he's one of the main speakers on how to get staff prepared for different situations. So that's something that I have to discuss with.
And what that covers, though, realize that covers, we're still very, let me put it this way, we have a lot of room to improve our facilities, to improve our security.
Tom's actually one of the best.
Yeah, and right now, I think the drilling and the training happens, well, it happens on a fairly
Who
frequent
are you talking about, Tom's school?
Weisberg. You also, a couple years ago, when we ran that program, you also had a fellow by the name of Maul that came through. He was actually with Homeland Security. He was supposed to do analysis of each of your buildings. So that may be existing someplace.
I think we.
Well, let's look at that.
Kevin, you're nodding your head down.
We're using his analysis for a grant that we're working on now, so we are using his information.
Is it Maul? Okay. Yeah, because he did I think he did multiple. He did K&D.
If we could get an overall assessment of where we are and where we need to be, maybe within the next couple of months.
Yeah, by December, January, we'll come back to you and tell you what we've done, where we're at.
Short-term, do we use visitor passes?
Yep. I know we do, because we had a parent that got stopped for not having one, and was complained about it, so which I thought was a good thing. The issue you have with the high school, and Madison to some extent, and this building to a pretty good extent, is that you can get in without being seen. So it's an honor system with, it's not really an honor system, but what I'm saying is you can get past into some of the other buildings, even though we have one entry. It's still pretty easy to get in. And this one we actually have two.
When was the last time we revisited the camera system?
Well, we're doing it, as one of you mentioned, we're looking at a grant right now. I don't know if we're going to write it or not, but there's a school safety security grant that we're looking at, and a camera system, the remote entry system that she talked about. Those are some of the things that we're looking at doing. We're trying to figure out, do we qualify for the grant, and what do we have to do to put ourselves in the spot to actually get it. We're actually looking at that now.
Because if you were looking at those cameras, make sure that you're looking at the cameras that can do external links with the police department. Thank you, ladies. Wow, that was impressive.
Anything else, Sarah? Thank you. Moving on to correspondence and superintendent's report. Item A, MCOE update.
Questions or comments on that?
Personnel report.
I don't think he's here. We hired, or Dan Gold?
Dan is not, but John.
John Stormfront is here. John, we hired to do the elementary Christmas program. I happened to be in the buildings a couple times when he's working with the kids. It's cool. They're engaged. They like it. They're sounding good. But John, welcome. You're welcome to tell us when the concert is and anything else you want to know. The board just likes to know.
Sure.
Who's working with the kids.
Right, that's why I'm here. Well, we have a concert on December 10th for the kindergartners at Madison and the first graders at Jefferson. And then the next night, December 11th, the second and third graders will perform. And it's just very simple holiday music. I invite everyone to attend. I know that a lot of you will be there anyway because you have children who are going to be singing. So I'll see you all there.
Okay. We'll try not to sing along.
Well, actually, I think that's going to be part of it. We're going to invite you to sing along.
Thank you, John.
And we also have Brooke Lee here. Brooke is one of our new parapros working with our kids. So welcome, Brooke. Questions on the finance report?
Moving on.
Yeah, this is a cool thing. Is Corey? Where's Corey? There he is. So we all know how fortunate we are to have Corey and his experience and personality involved, and other people recognize it too. And one of the things that's being done is an anonymous donors have established a permanent fund at the Manistee County Community Foundation to ensure that the Payne Aquatic Center will provide quality programs for generations to come. This endowment is to honor Corey Van Fleet. It's the Corey Van Fleet Perpetual Swimming Fund. I think that's pretty amazing. They are going to match dollar for dollar any donations that are made between now and the end of 2014. There's no limit on that. So, donations of $1 to 100,000 are welcome into that, and they're going to be matched. And so it's really a good bang for your buck if people can find a way to donate that. And what a great honor for Corey, and what a great thing for the swimming pool, the district, and the community. I don't know, Corey, if you had anything you want to say. That's an honor. That's an honor.
We have a lot of money coming in, so it'll be a substantial fund. The proceeds will go for programming and things that we need at the school for years to come.
Thank you, Corey. Thank you to our anonymous donor and all the other donors that are out there. That'll be fantastic. Moving on to the leadership team.
Any comments or questions on that?
If not, then winner coach roster.
Yeah, you have that in your packet. I'd just like to keep you informed of who's working with our kids. We are still in a timeline on middle school basketball.
Girls?
Yeah, the one open there.
You should know pretty quick.
Okay. Yep. And then, but that's pretty much a full roster. And then the only other thing I would point out to you also, and that's not winter coaching, but we just did complete a hiring process, and I was talking to Jim about this earlier. We developed a written process for hiring coaches like we have for teachers and support staff, and we followed that. And Paul Maxson is the one that we're going to be hiring back after watched his daughter play college ball for a few years, and he's ready to get back into it, and we're glad to have him back. So Paul is a new hire as well.
Thank you, John. Data review.
What classrooms are we? Oh, I missed that. Yes, thank you. So in your packet you have, we started putting together a thing, had information on our count and free and reduced lunch account and our finances, and sports and those type of things. I don't know if you have any comments or questions on that. And then we have our focus school quarterly report. And I don't know if Andy, Julia, or Kevin, if anybody has anything on that. It's something that we're supposed to give to the board on a quarterly basis, providing an update as to where we are.
So notice on the student count or full count of 14, we're 1,600.
That's not correct. I noticed that when that was in there. We're at 1541 point something. I just found out from Sue today, so I'm not sure where we're off there. But
because like all the problems, and all of a sudden we increase student count. It's like, wow.
Yeah, we're at 1540.41. It's going to be our count I believe is actually a little bit higher than that right now. But as a count date, when the rest of these are, it was 1540.
Any highlights from administrators? Or anything specifically to point out as we're looking through this?
You'll see the new addition is the IAP. Our teachers spent time looking at our first IAP session and have goals that kind of short-term goals. And we're looking forward to our next IAP next week. Our teachers took their test and predicted how they think their students might do. So at the next progress report, hopefully we'll be able to have some growth measures.
It'll definitely be more exciting as we get more data and we get to see what the trends are.
Well, and understand this, it's a first time for some of the text complexity, some of the things that we like, some of the things that we're working on. So, but it's a great start. We're very excited.
Anything else? Or any other questions from the board? All right, if not, then
I'm sorry. What was that question that you gave?
Any questions from the board? Any other comments about that? Joe?
It's been a long day.
Classroom size update.
Yeah, we always like to see kids move into the district, and our enrollment is pretty stable. It's not really growing, but it's right at about what it was last year. But it always seems like they go into the grades that already have a lot of kids, or we get a lot of kids in one grade that didn't have any. And Andy, are we still at 29, 30, and 30 at second grade? And I know, even though we added, our other grades are growing too, but that's the one I think when you look at the early grades, that's the one grade that sticks out. I don't know what we can do about that. It's almost Christmas. It's if we were to get more kids in there, we by contract and I think our own desire have to do something. But we're at the point now where it's something we want to keep an eye on. Those classes are big.
Did they start out that big?
No, we gained 10 students overall from that grade. 17.
Yeah, that's what I said. And I think
It's not a bad thing.
I think fourth grade. Kevin, you're shaking your head. Fourth grade, something similar happened in that grade too.
We got 6 new kids in the last week, just in this building. Wow.
Is there room for another classroom?
Here?
Jefferson.
At Jefferson.
Anything's possible.
I kind of want to reinforce that long-range plan.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Help me out, Andy, because I'm not going to remember. First grade, do we have 5 sections?
Yep.
Second grade, we have 4. Third grade, 4. All right. Yeah, as I'm picturing walking through, there really isn't an open classroom. It has to be like the portable.
We would have at that point, we would have at least a specialized session.
Shelley, you have a question?
Is there a classroom, is there an aid in those higher rooms?
Well, not this time specifically. I mean, there's aids secured in the classroom, we have inside for situations that we don't have specifically for that setting.
So you'd think that we wouldn't be changing numbers, but what you're saying, there could be another 4 or 5 in there in a couple of weeks in that class.
At that point, we would.
Contractually, we would be.
Yeah, we would have, and not only contractually. I think when, 30 is we don't want 30. 30 is our absolute. Right.
We've definitely set it in
max. And again, I think if this was August and we do that, we'd probably be looking at making a different decision. But it's Christmas almost, Thanksgiving. So, but I wanted to make you aware of it, and let you know it's on our radar and we're monitoring it and we'll see how it goes. We could also have 3 or 4 move out. a week. So we'll just have to see.
So are we receiving those kids from people moving into the community, or?
Yep. Yep, 17 to come in, 7 have left, so when you think about it, and that's a lot of kids to come in. And I always say, kids will always come and go, but first 3 months, 17 is just like big. And it's just, it's often just a combination of families that come in. If they come in and as first grade student or a third grade student, we'd be fine. It just happens to be that's the grade level it's coming in.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but these are all resident kids because we're not taking school of choice right now. We take school of choice in the fall and then second semester. But a resident student that moves in is entitled to go to school first day they move in. It should be. So these aren't even school of choice kids necessarily that might be coming at semester or something. And what we'll probably do is limit or even shut off in second grade school of choice. I don't know, we'll have to talk about that. That's something that
I would recommend that.
Yeah, we would. Well, either that, we have to be prepared to give 1 or 2 kids and have another classroom.
One question that I have we engaged reminders folks yet in terms of what they potentially may be bringing in their families?
Not directly.
That might be something school official.
Few dozen of people in a hearing, 1.5 kids per household.
That way we can prepare this and potentially it's coming in.
So we'll think ahead, please. Any other comments about that? Okay, then moving on to overnight trip.
Yeah, we have one swim team conference. Congratulations, Corey, on winning the conference championship. Policy is that I approve overnight field trips and then inform you of them. Corey sent an email that I included that answers probably any question you could have about that trip and where they were going and what they were doing. And so I just informed you of that.
Thank you. Moving on to policy review.
So the board is the board. You know that one of your main focus. One of the things you're supposed to focus on is policy. And yeah, we've not made it a part of our regular agenda. But that's my hope now, and that we just take a little chunk. Certainly there are I think 9 or 10 sections, and we put those on about a 3-year rotation in addition to the updates that we get from Neola, but that we take those and we go through them and we review them. And so these are basically just the bylaws, and as you look at those, you look at the first one, I put a clarifying note about there that our bylaws talk about 6-year terms, but our elections were 4-year. That goes back to the mix-up that we had. I don't think our bylaws need to change. We've stated we're going to 6-year. We're in the process of going to 6-year. We just we've got some elections, one more election to get through where we'll have some, I think, a 4 and a 6. And then we'll be on 6 years. So I think our bylaw there is fine. The next one regards board member compensation. And you guys, at least since I've been here, and I think well before that, have never received any compensation. And it talked about not more than $30 per meeting, on and on and on. Right? Why have it in there when you guys...
We get our pass to the game.
Yeah, you get an athletic pass to the game. Yeah, and a water and Twizzlers.
Yes, make it simple, keep it clear.
Yeah, okay.
To read anything about compensation.
Right. And then the organizational meeting. section, I don't know if you had any thoughts on that. We do 2 organizational meetings in essence now. We do one in January for officers and meeting dates and those type of things. And then in July, we're generally doing fiscal year things. So just getting the policy to match, or the bylaws to match what we're doing now with the change of elections to November. So are we good with that? Okay.
John, just real quick, we are going to need an action item.
First reading.
Modifying the bylaws, right?
You can do a first reading tonight, or you can do a first reading in December.
So how we want to structure that?
Do a first reading in December.
December, okay.
Or tonight, I don't care, but.
If we do it tonight, then you can second reading in December. And then
Right.
There you go, that's true.
Sounds good.
Okay, so we'll add that as a action item. All right. Good point, I'll go ahead and brought that up.
Moving on then, old business, do we have an update from the track work group?
Yeah, so we're progressing, and the 2 things that I want to draw your attention to is we had several conversations with the tribe, and we've been moving emails back and forth in terms of pushing, actually developing a partnership. And the second thing is we've been invited by DJ Olson to meet with his foundation people to do a presentation regarding the foundation. So those are the 2 things that pop up on the radar. And I want to remind everybody that, you know, we are into long-range planning. We do have that master plan that we're trying to evolve once we get the whole master plan moving forward. But realize that the track is part of that, and that track, because of the injuries and those types of things, are a priority. So our goal is to move this as quickly and as hard as possible so we break ground in the spring. So again, I just want to keep that in front of people so it doesn't get lost in the master plan. There's some people that sometimes are feeling that, you know, we're focusing on the bigger picture and forgetting the track, and that's not the case at all. And we have to continue to build those partnerships, and next month we'll have a good report on that after we meet with some of the funders.
Good, thank you again for all your work, and it's moving fast, and
We're, like I said, it's high gear.
we're doing good.
Yeah, I just had a comment to make regarding the master planning. We read the News Advocate this week. West Shore Community College had received some funding because of their master planning. And it was not a lengthy article, but it goes to show that with the master plan and the planning, that the fundings are available. So it's a reality.
It's a rally that needs momentum and needs to continue.
We are having the NATS group meeting next week. So again, that they're working on membership and moving forward on that initiative, developing partnerships. So again, we'll have more to report next month.
Any other questions? If not, John, do you have anything new on the?
Well, we keep working on things. You've got a ratification of a contract a little later on that's part of that compensation work group. And Tom's got some comments later on that he might want to bring up about some areas that we can look at. So it's all moving forward, I think. And again, the contract is what's on the agenda tonight, and we've got other groups that we still need to address.
Any comments now?
Something that I had been thinking about, you know, we talk about taking care of our employees, for lack of a better word, the people that work at the school district from MAPS. And we have quite a few employees here that don't have security, in my mind, from year to year. And I've thought about, and I'm just asking to think about it, and maybe make comments to John later at some point, but of some type of revolving or a 2-year rotating contract for some of the employees, and I'm talking like Kathy Sadowski. I mean, she's on a year-to-year. She could be gone. She has no security, is what I'm getting at.
That will.
Right.
We have a lot of at-will employees. And
Right.
They're almost, not only year to year, they're kind of almost day to day. Not that we would do that, but
It was just a thought I had, and I was, there's quite a few people in our school in that situation, and they'd be left without any type of security at all. And if something, happened, so to speak. But it was just a thought and an idea, and maybe John could come up with a list of people or something that would fall into that category. I don't know if you know where I'm coming from, but
it's basically anybody that's not covered by a bargaining unit, or that doesn't have an individual multiple year contract.
And I think it speaks to the conversation we had in regards to building a positive culture. It speaks to that. So we're having a discussion and working at that compensation sense.
And I can get you a list of who those are and talk about what we think is the right way to pursue.
And again, the retention of good talent speaks to that.
Thank you. Any other comments? Anything else with the building demolition? Which we thought it was kind of our master.
Two goals is build a track and take that building down. We're going to focus on that. I hope next month to come to you with some proposals on taking that building down. We are meeting with a gentleman in town that has an idea on how to do it effectively and cheaply.
Thank you, Nick. Any questions?
Mr. Warmeister's.
Thank you, Paul. All right, let's move on to business and action items.
I would like to make a motion that we approve our regular board meeting minutes from the October 8th, along with the closed session minutes that I just handed you. And also the same for October 22nd.
I'll second that.
I get a minor correction on October 22nd, just a little clarification. You get down to the student expulsion hearing, when you get into the motion, and we talk about, and student A to work together on a restorative justice program, means it's the suspension training, to just clear that up and get rid of the to work together on restorative.
Thank you.
Means it's to that level.
I'll second it with the correction. How's that sound?
2 out.
Motion by Shelley, seconded by Tom. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries. Okay, approval of accounts payable report.
I'd like to present to the board total expenditures of $225,597.19 for approval.
Motion by Paul. Second by Chris. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries. Next, approval of awarded bids. Snow removal services.
Already got anything in there?
We advertised for bids for snow plowing. It had been 4 years. The last time we did it was 2010. We advertised in the paper. We had 3 companies indicate interest. There were only 2 submitted bids. The two that submitted bids were the 2 that we've used in the past, and they each submit only for the areas that they had done in the past. So we're recommending the approval of the bids from Mikolajczyk. They do this building and the high school, and then Forbes does the bus garage, Jefferson, and Madison.
Okay. Any clarification?
Snowplow bids for Mikolajczyk and Forbes.
Motion by Shelley, second by Jim. All those in favor say yes. Yes. All those opposed say no. Motion carries. Thank you. Next item is ratification of Manistee Educational Support Personal Master Agreement.
So you got the contract, you got a summary, you have the option of going into closed session if you want to discuss anything but it's laid out there for you. It's a great group. And Howard and Julia and help me out with Kevin. We're a negotiating team on that, and I appreciate their work on that. Contact us before you.
Do any of us feel that we need to go into closed session? It's great that we're able to offer this. It's building that sense of community. Hopefully we can keep on doing this. Do I have a motion? Motion by Nick.
A second.
Second by Paul. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion carries.
Do we need a poll on that or no? No.
Take one just in case.
Can I vote on that?
Okay, hang on just a second. I asked that question, I have not got an answer yet, because I actually, okay, so I don't think it would hurt to take a roll call vote, and I think you should abstain since we don't know. And the reason I'm saying that is because the laws changed.
Right.
Very recently, like very recently. And I contacted the Michigan Association of School Boards attorney on that last week, and he was at the conference, and then I called him today, and he's out till Monday. So I don't think that you can anymore. And there's a couple other of you on the board that when the time comes, or the time will come, that you might have to abstain to. But I'll get clarification on that, but I think for safety purposes tonight, you probably should.
Can you specify why you're abstaining?
Because my wife is the president of the Parapros.
She's a member of the bargaining unit, and very clearly, a year or so ago, that was not considered a conflict of interest. It was not. In fact, you were expected to vote. Again, I think that has just recently changed, and I'll get the information for you on this.
Roll call vote, please.
Roll call vote. Williams?
I abstain.
Abstain.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. There is no new business unless someone has something.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Yes, John.
So, Ken, you want to talk about ninth grade girls basketball a little bit?
Sure. We started girls basketball practice with Winter on Monday. We had about 33 girls show up for the first night. They ran pretty good to see who would show up the next night, and they had 33 again the next night. We don't know what happened tonight. They're practicing right now, but poses a problem. You know, freshman sports were cut several years ago due to budget issues. We haven't had any freshman teams at all. But with 33 girls, assuming they all stick it out, poses a problem whether we have to cut 8 to 10 girls or possibly add another team, bring back freshman girls basketball. That would leave probably 10, 11 on a team, assuming we had 3 teams. The issues, of course, we have now are it's not in the budget planning. We're planning on having a freshman team. The other issues, of course, are we need to find a coach, we need to find games at this point in time, and of course there will be added expense. Went on the horn yesterday, and in one day I had 6 or 7 schools that said they would play us. So we probably had maybe 8 to 10 games right now, and that was just within a day. It would be who we have to play when we get to play them. It might be a goofy schedule, different nights, different times and stuff, but I think we could get games. The big question, of course, is number one, are the 33 girls all going to stick it out? Are they going to hang around? We do want to find out tonight. The coaches are double checking to make sure that these girls still want to play. Some of them apparently have signed up for other winter sports as well. There are some girls that are injured, and there are some girls that have had eligibility problems in the past. So What we don't want to happen is have a team and then find out that some of these girls aren't going to stick it out 2 weeks and then not have a team. But what we're asking tonight is, would be your approval if the numbers stay the way they are, and we still have the interest, would be to add freshman girls basketball for this year. And if we find out after tonight's practice or the next practice, the numbers don't warrant that, we won't go that route. But we need to know, because these schools do want to schedule and get this wrapped up, and of course, we've got 30-some girls wondering what's going to happen to them. So I'm looking for your approval tonight to add it, should the numbers warrant.
What would that cost be, Ken? Do we get uniforms and stuff?
Uniforms will be sketchy depending on, numbers. Again, you have to pay a coach. You'll have some travel expenses for away games, and of course, officials for our home games. So
You get a little revenue from hopefully your revenue covers the officials, so
yeah,
that might wash out.
And they had talking with Coach Erickson about possibly even, having on some of the off games, parents just drive the kids to save money, that type of thing. So, they're willing to try and make it work as much as they can.
Between 4,000, 5,000, 6,000?
Probably, yep.
Here's the thing is, if you do a freshman team and you lose kids, and you only have 5 kids left on that freshman team, or 4, okay? What about those 4 girls that are left, that are committed to that freshman team? I'd like to see something where then they at least go on the JV team. I don't think it's fair to have a freshman team and then some girls quit, or are hurt. You don't have enough to field a team, and these 4 girls are left out in the cold, so to speak. So I want something in there myself. I'd like to see where they can be put on the JV.
I mean, if we're looking at 11, 10, whatever, if it got down to 4, I don't think absorbing them onto another team would be an issue. I mean, we're hoping, that's my point, we don't want to get to that point where we go through all this and then all of a sudden we don't have a full team. So we're hoping we get commitments from these girls that they are going to stick it out. And sometimes a couple eligibility problems and some injuries and sickness, and you're down to 4 kids.
I think another thing that we talked about was, so what's available for girls in the wintertime? And not much. Yeah, they can wrestle.
Competitive cheer.
And competitive. And ski, which if you haven't ever skied, I don't know if you're going to go out there and go bound down a ski slope. And then competitive cheer, but that's, you've got to have an interest or an aptitude in that. And then wrestling, I just think while it's growing in the number of girls that are interested in it, it's also a sport that it's not like track, where there's an event for everybody. It's a struggle.
I think there's also dance feet.
Okay.
Swim.
So it's a lot of it's about opportunities for the kids, and I know we have a little bit more money than we've had in past years.
This is kind of like a bubble year.
Well, I thought it was, but then I talked to Todd Erickson tonight about 5 o'clock, and Todd said there are 12, because that was what the question I had was. And Ken, do you want to talk about the 8th grade? Are you familiar with that?
Yeah, the 8th grade has pretty good participation. You got to remember, when freshman sports were cut, a lot of these kids decided not to play because it's very intimidating for a freshman to come in and play basketball and jump right into the JV level. And so a lot of these girls over the years have shied away from even coming out. And this is an exceptional group coming up, a lot of good numbers in the next couple of years.
Yeah, Todd Erickson said he checked, and there were 12 girls that showed up, and
we had some this year that haven't played in a while as well.
So there's, and again, we aren't asking for it tonight because we don't know. We will know more in a day or two, but we don't have a board meeting scheduled for a while, so we've got to know where we're at. And I do suspect there will be a decent number of there has to be. You can't keep 15 and 15. I mean, if you got 15 and 15, it'd still be 3 cuts.
Well, I go with what Ken says. There's a huge difference what freshmen athletics needs there for versus kids being pumped up in 9th grade or 8th grade. It's a huge jump. We probably lose a lot of kids with that type of jump. The second thing is if you look at the money, you're providing experience for how many girls potentially?
Probably 10 to 12 girls.
Times how many games?
Well, we're hoping for at least 12 games.
12 games at what's your cost?
$4,000.
That's a pretty good investment in terms of your return on the money right there. Plus if we're not in a fiscal situation where we can't afford it, but if it just makes sense to do that for those things. Particularly if we're developing those 8th graders and they have something to look forward to where they're not making that huge leap to playing with the 10th graders. And some kids potentially move down from the 11th grader teams.
Just Matt has always had a great history for girls basketball, and I think it's good that we have the big interest again, and I think it's going to help to improve our program.
You have an idea how to
Motion?
You have an idea how to fund it, right? That the 4,000 is coming just from the general budget, but the seeds program. What did you mention about the seeds program?
That was last year.
Okay.
Yeah, that wasn't this year. Yeah, that was we had that last year with college.
It all comes back to on a spending freeze, and we've got a budget, and if we're trying to make a decision, even at small amounts. So one of the things is, if we're doing that well, do we raise that spending freeze? Is it time for us to even start thinking about that? Is there a way? Do we have an idea of what we're restructuring and gaining that $4,000?
Well, I think it would, so if you look at our fund balance, it went up. It was at one point, and it went up, and I think it went down and went back up, but some, and we're projecting to go up again this year. Not a huge amount, not where our auditor tells us it needs to be or anything else, but we're at a point where financially we're out of that really dark spot we were at a couple of years ago. So to answer your question, I don't know where we would cut something else to make up that 4. I would say that 4 is going to come out of, we will add less to the fund balance. Next year, this time, in July, June 30th. As far as the spending freeze goes, that's a very interesting point. I don't think we want to open the floodgates, but, and we have been talking about some science curriculum or materials and some different things that we may want to do that are above and beyond or whatever. So I think the answer to your question is, I think it's time to, it would be a good time to loosen, but not for things that we, but scrutinize everything that we do. And I think that's kind of almost where we're at.
But the impression is that this is a good thing that has the benefit of impacting a lot of kids, will help our JV varsity programs. There's a need for it now. That's why you're asking for it now.
I think when we did this a couple years ago, 3 years ago, I think you'd had a freshman girls team, but you hadn't had a freshman boys team, right?
No, we did.
You had a freshman boys team too? Okay. But yeah, I think it's not a huge decision in the dollar amount, but I think symbolically means a lot, but
It's a lot to know.
Well, there's another piece to this. If you're going to offer a Class A program, then freshman sports is part of that. I guess the question I'll have to Ken is this a possible attractor of students throughout the region if you're offering a freshman girls program?
Is it popular?
No, is it a possible attraction gain students? Folks, we're in a competitive world for bodies and seats.
It could be, but not a lot of schools have freshman sports anymore at any level of sports. Like I said, we were lucky. The Traverse Cities, of course, still do. Cadillac. A lot of the larger schools still have freshman sports.
Yeah, I think, John, what you said is really important, is that we look at everything systematic. Carefully,
yes, I don't think we scrutinize what we're doing.
Exactly. And we have business and industry that does the same thing. And they look at new markets and those types of things. It's a systematic, very involved, calculated risk and gambling.
And we look at it year to year.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions? And what do you need from us then?
Well, I guess a motion that authorizes us to do that if the numbers warrant it, which we'll know more by the end of the week.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion by Jim, seconded by Chris. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those opposed say no. Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you. Raymond?
That is something I'd like to hand out to the board members. My name is Raylan Danks, and I have two things I'd like to accomplish. First, I'd like to tell you on page 2 is the poster that I recently hung up around the Manistee High School regarding the dress code, and I got suspended 2 days. But after going over my personal record yesterday, I am now informed of what that suspension was actually for. So that is no longer a big conflict of mine, but I'd like to say a couple things. Cheerleaders are required to wear their cheer uniform. If you look in the dress form, their skirts are way shorter than they are, and I know many that are not comfortable wearing them. Then PJ Day is also a violation of the dress code. It specifically states pajamas in the third bullet under the article that says should not be worn, which is also against the dress code. If it is okay for one day, why isn't it acceptable any other day? It's like saying you can do something illegal one day, but not any other day. And then with this issue comes the issue of equal enforcement. We have one administrator subjectively enforcing the dress code. If I were to wear the same dress as a skinny or well-known person, I would be told to go home when the other person wouldn't. And this is not equal. All I'm asking is for the dress code to be enforced fairly and equally across the board. The way to fix this is not to play favorites and treat everyone equally. I hope that you'll take this into consideration as we grow in conflict at our school. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you. Very short and succinct. Thank you.